Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome you to the 10-year anniversary of the Pleasant Note Coffee House presents Open Mic and Poetry Slam.
Before I get started, I have to say, it's amazing to me that this has been going on for 10 years. I mean, I personally haven't been here in a few, but I wasn't going to miss this. If it wasn't for this forum, I wouldn't be playing this. Simple as that. It gave me a very welcoming, non-judgmental forum to cut my teeth, playing a new instrument. Last night I did some heavy thinking about where my life's supposed to go. All night my thoughts went round in circles, came back to what I already know. The day we met, just like any other, you caught my eye as you came through the door. You smiled at me, lost my concentration, 'cause with your pretty eyes you promised something more. The first time you ever kissed me was unlike anything I'd ever known. And since that day we rode upon a whirlwind, and from that kiss a tender love has grown. Now circumstances take us from each other, but I have faith, know our love is true. While you're away, I'm gonna keep on working to pave the road that leads me back to you. So until the day we can be together and wake up in each other's arms again, I'll keep the faith, 'cause I know for certain that we'll ride upon that whirlwind till the end. The first time you ever kissed me was unlike anything I'd ever known. And since that day we rode upon a whirlwind, and from that kiss a tender love has grown. The last time you ever kissed me still felt like nothing I'd ever known. And I know we're gonna ride that whirlwind, 'cause you're the truest love I've ever known. You're the only love I've ever known. When I'm with you, I found my home.
That was actually a tribute to a singing instructor that I took singing lessons with for a short time before he committed suicide. I hope it wasn't my singing, but actually it was. He suffered depression for a long time, and he OD'd on his medication for depression, unfortunately. So that was the end of lessons. But so I wrote a little tribute to him. I think you'd like it. Music Man Dan, Music Man Dan, he could play and sing like no quite a musician with original style. He could really play and sing. Music Man Dan. This is another tribute song that I wrote when I lived in New Orleans. I had a buddy down there, Coco Robichaux, who was a blues musician and also a famous voodoo man in the French Quarter. And I got to know him, being that we're both interested in music and Louisiana voodoo. And he passed away a few years ago at age 64, a major heart attack, and I wrote a tribute song to him. And this one's called Coco the Voodoo Man. Coco the Voodoo Man, thanks for your music and lending a helping hand. Farewell, my voodoo friend, until we meet again. Thank you.
March 18th will mark 35 years of the greatest American hero. Believe it or not, I'm walking on air. Yes, timeless TV. So for the occasion, I had to write something. So here we go. Le costume rouge s'est décoloré, mais la justice et la vérité sont pour toujours. La cabine téléphonique est presque historique, mais on rit encore aujourd'hui, car la joie et l'amitié ne vieillissent pas. The red suit has faded, but justice and truth are for always. The telephone booth is almost historic, but we still laugh today because joy and friendship do not grow old. But of course, we know why we are here tonight, the 10th anniversary of The Pleasant Note. So in honor of the occasion, of course, I had to write something. So, 10 ans ont dansé devant nous sur l'air des larmes et de la rire, quelquefois sur l'air des soupirs. Nous voici en bonne compagnie, dans un esprit d'improvisation. C'est une célébration. Encore 10 ans. Vive la musique, vive l'art poétique, vive la note plaisante. 10 years have danced by us to the tune of tears and laughter, sometimes to the tune of sighs. Here we are in good company, in a spirit of improvisation. It's a celebration. Another 10 years. Long live music. Long live the poetic art. Long live the pleasant note. Merci beaucoup.
Yeah, the first song we're going to do, a couple of, I guess a month or two into open mic, it was a little core group of people at first, and not a lot of others, but one night this unusual person showed up, and he hauled in this weird drum set that was made up of putting drums in places that they weren't supposed to be. Like he used the floor tom as a bass drum, and he was just a weird little kid. And he said, "I'm going to play drums and play harmonica and sing," and he did, and it was like we didn't really know what to expect. But number one, the guy, he was a good musician. He was just an unusual and eccentric musician. And he also wrote poetry. And his name was Roland Forbes. And I'm sure John remembers him, and some of the other people that have been around for a long time will remember him as well. And the thing about him is that he was just a very charming, nice person. You know?
Eccentric, but you know.
Eccentric, but just nice, and you never knew what he was going to pull out of his hat. And he quickly became like a real staple of open mic. He would play harmonica when other people were playing and singing and stuff. And then I ended up, I had always been a bass player, and I switched over to guitar about that time, and I was playing some gigs. And so I had Roland play drums with me, and another person, Tim Clough, who's not here, but he was also kind of a regular here, as a guy who started playing stand-up bass at 55 or 56 years old. And he's now playing gigs professionally as well. It's another one of those crazy stories. But anyhow, so Roland kind of swept into our lives real quickly, and then I played a gig with him and Tim at Hawley's, which is now called 84 Court, but it was Hawley's back then. And we played a Saturday night gig, and on that night, Roland was like so happy. And he was like, oh, I've always wanted to play, and he liked the music that I was playing, and he liked the casual feel of it, and he was like the happiest guy in the world. But then he died the next day. It was really weird. And it was unexpected.
He had a heart attack.
Yeah, he just had a heart attack. And it hit me a lot because of the joy that he had felt the night before, and I felt like it was kind of, I don't know, it's one of those weird, spooky things, like you know, I had a task, you know, God had a job for me to do that night, and I didn't even realize it. And so anyhow, at his funeral, can you turn my volume? At his funeral, his daughter was there, and she had this poem that he had written. And it was really, I thought it was very interesting. And so I asked her if it would be okay if I wrote a song around the poem. So this song is, the lyrics are by Roland, and I put the simple rudimentary music behind it. And it's just so that kind of Roland can be here with us, because he was a really big part of this early on.
It's for you, Roland.
Along the lonely paths I have come, by night I travel through the mist. Ever I follow a flowing stream, past a rocky ledge, along mountain cliffs, to where I can be free. To where I can be free. Days slowly pass in tranquility, like an eagle floating in the wind. Come for quiet, my soul needs rest, far from the earthly clatter and dim. Now I can be free. Now I can be free. Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. But guide me safely through the night. Awaken me with clear blue sight. And now I can be free. And now I can be free. Now I can be free. And now I can be free.
All right, another tribute song that we want to share that has to do with the history of open mic is a song that Mike and I wrote using the lyrics of one of Pearl Sawyer's poems. And Pearl is here tonight, so I just want to give big props to Pearl Sawyer.
And thank her for letting us co-opt her lyrics into this little song.
Absolutely, but for a long while, Pearl was an anchor here for spoken word, and then we got Ron and Maureen and some other spoken word people, but Pearl, you were there. And I'm so glad you're here tonight. Thank you for coming.
We also I got to tell this story. I'm sorry. I know so Toby and I, we were raised in different religious faiths, and so we didn't really have any religious faith as a married couple. And so, but there was a period where, like, gee, we started to get a little curious about it. And I'd been hearing about this church mostly because there was a young, dynamic minister, a very young, dynamic woman minister. And I thought, wow, that sounds kind of interesting to me. It doesn't sound like a heavy religion kind of thing. And so I mentioned it to Toby, and so we kind of reluctantly came here one day, and we kind of were nervous about it because we thought the church was going to attack us and make us cult people or something like that. I don't know what we thought, but we had some crazy ideas about it. But we got here, we sat in the very last row, the very last pew, not really knowing what to expect. As it turned out, that week the minister was not here, and the sermon that week was actually Pearl reading poetry about her life. And it wasn't heavy, and it wasn't overbearing, and it wasn't religious. And Toby and I just went and looked at each other. And that's how we ended up being a part of this church. I think if we had come and it had been super religious that weekend, you never would have seen us again. But we really felt welcome. We felt like this was a place where we could develop a spirituality that was in line with what worked for us. So, thank you, Pearl, for being here.
Would that I could write the truth, all those unspoken thoughts and dreams, the unrealized aspirations, great wisdom that defies articulation. I would write the beauty, the heartbreaking irony of the gold I perceive but have not yet the tools to mine. I would write of disappointments, my fear that life would slip away too soon, leaving unborn the possibilities I carry. Would that I could write the truth, all those unspoken thoughts and dreams, the unrealized aspirations, vague wisdoms that defy articulation. I would write my regrets for errors past. I drag the chains behind me in penance, but I cannot give them face or form. I write of love unrequited, the unerasable scars inflicted by rejection, and of love returned. Again and again, I try to ride my heart, to ride myself, the light and the dark of me, to draw you in with all my laughter, to drown you in my tears. Slow down. I would write bravely what I do not dare, the unsung songs of a naked soul, the verses of passion, the unexpressed yearnings of a heart. But I'm not quite ready to bear it all. There is this reluctance still, this need for reserve, and yet, driven by an urge, I try. Would that I could write the truth, all those unspoken thoughts and dreams, the unrealized aspirations, vague wisdoms that defy articulation.
earth spiritualist, pagan as I am, we do tend to revere a god and a goddess, or many of each. So in the sphere of goddesses, there are generally three phases: the maiden, the mother, and the crone, the three stages of a woman's life. Well, there's also a fourth, as far as I'm concerned, and that's the warrior. Goddesses like Bridget and the Morrigan and things like that in Celtic lands that are upstanding warriors and strong women, and we are strong women. So this is about all four phases. Sweetest maiden sister, lover of the wild, in all respects a blossoming and happy little child, we name you springtime maiden, treading softly through the trees, awakening the flowers, your laughter on the breeze. Beneath you seeds are sprouting, above you warm the sun. Around you animals are born, now that spring's begun. The innocence of childhood, the joy of simple things, we find you in beginnings new and pleasure without stings. Blood-a-wed of blossoms, the vernal goddess bright, who brings the rains that nurture seeds and longer days of light. Great goddess mother, watching over all, lovingly we praise you, and you hear us when we call. We call to you as Bridget, the hearth and home you rule, the holy wells and blacksmith's forge, with love the burning fuel. We name you too as Lakshmi, of wealth and hope you sing. Candles lit in praise of you, for happiness you bring. The fullness of the summer, with fields so ripe and round, your body in its glory, the grand and fertile ground. The king stag, your companion, your partner, god of love, who walks with you in fields of green and in the clouds above. You, the elder goddess, honored lady of the best, the wheel can't turn without you, our planet needs to rest. You are the harvest goddess with grain and corn, and all that falls will rise again, life's promise thus reborn. We name you as Nokomis, the goddess of the field, giving of your body when the gardens fail to yield. We call to you as winter queen who puts the earth to bed, the goddess of the quiet times, keeper of the dead. Rising with the crescent moon, falling with the rain, walking winter's frozen land, so silent once again. And the mighty warrior, she of sword and spear, confident within herself, strong, no sign of fear. We name you as Diana, who hunts with spear and bow. The lives you take are done with honor and respect your show. And you, the goddess Morrigan, the Celtic queen of war, black crow of the battlefield who feasts on death and gore, goddess of the dark phase, of those things that we hide, our anger and our vengefulness, the things we keep inside. But also you're our power, the strength of blood and bone, the competence of women, the brave have always shown.
Tatsarvitso Bhargo devasya dhimahi Diyo yona prachodayat. Om Bhurvuvah Svaha Tatsarvito Varenyam Bhargo devasya dhimahi Diyo yona prachodayat. Om Bhurvuvah Svaha Tatsarvito Varenyam Bhargo devasya dhimahi Diyo yona prachodayat. Om Bhurvuvah Svaha Tatsavito Varenyam Bhargo devasya dhimahi Diyo yona prachodayat. So for those who aren't real versed in Sanskrit, that mantra has a few different meanings. One of them is that Om, or consciousness, divine intelligence, is like a light, and it is the only thing worth worshipping, and that it is the only thing that can reveal to us the truth and get rid of our illusions, or help us to transcend our illusions. So that's what prachodayat means. Prachodayat means, Lord, take away my delusions.
And a lot of transformation. So about 6 years later, I'm happy to be here sharing it with the greater community that I've found, the bigger world that I was looking for. So here it is. I called it My Cat Wrote This when I wrote it. But I've been told that there's 7 billion people living on the planet. The world must be enormous, but could I know? I haven't scanned it, panned it, expanded. We only know what we've been allowed to see in our lives by whoever planned them. We claim to know what we're taught in class, but who determines what's considered a fact? It's you and I who do just that, accepting words and pictures as truth out flat. Without the means of proving them, no way of tracing them back. In class, many sit back, lax. My grades were always intact, but I began to ask questions. My friends think I'm whack. And even my family thinks I'm out of my mind, but I know it's not the truth because I'm lost in mine all the time. And it's how I know I'm going to be just fine. Why not skip the preparation and spare a few seats at graduation? Since the whole 12 years they called education, it's been indoctrination. If you want to see things for yourself, then take a vacation without hesitation. Walk along your path to your destined destination. Don't worry about money or a lifelong plan. Just go and experience life at first hand. Oh, you don't think that you can? The greatest obstacles are our own, so if you want to, you can. If there's really 7 billion people here, that's a world full of friends to make. And we complain about the ones we have like we're the ones at stake, while other people's suffering is an interest we ought to take. But we'd rather wait. Our hearts supposedly break, yet we're still okay. And I know we could all connect more in our actions and our thoughts. Sorry, I lost my place. But when we're distracted from compassion, we leave all but ourselves forgot. If the past is gone and the future's not guaranteed, we're alive right now, here, with everything we need. So why are they planning ahead financially for all their luxury, buying this and owning that, limiting others with their greed, thinking, I deserve it because I work. I even went to college. But just because you paid for yours doesn't mean theirs is in knowledge.
From 4 floors high, I see that bald eagle's return. Opportunities abound. That bird poised, thick-feathered neck, the color of snowy, icy riverbank, where it watches. It waits. I watch. I wait. I wait to seize the moment. Oh, to see that eagle soar, to see it score. I do chores and more. Every time I glance there, I stare. The stoic bird, vigilant, intent. I keep vigil too, until in one unplanned instant, for one too many a task, untended gaze miscast, the moment gone. The eagle has flown, opportunity past. Carpe diem? Nay or yea? Drat, perhaps another day. Thank you. Thank you.
This happens to be an original that Mike wrote. It's called True. It's about us. So I get to sing it. Under a canopy of blue, wind whispering and you, breeze blowing and time is slowing, capturing us too. It's true. A shadow cast by a tree, a tattered pattern to see. That is framework, nature's lacework, is the stage set for you and me. It's true. It's true. Dark forest breaks, we emerge no longer captive to the hands of time. Now time to gaze, to remember what all the fuss was about way back then. This green interlude, a welcome change in altitude. Back on the ground, and we have found how love is earthly bound. It's true. It's true. Dark forest breaks, we emerge no longer captive to the hands of time. Now time to gaze, to remember what all the fuss was about way back then. Come and take it all in. Remember to remember again. Your embrace in this crazy place, how appropriate for me and you. It's true. It's true. It's true. This song was written by me, and I was feeling frustrated because, like, I noticed that people, what am I trying to say? They focus on these little blips in your life, right, in their lives. Instead of thinking about every day, they think of just this one focal point or that one focal point. If it goes wrong, you just wasted all that effort. So I was trying to comment on that. It's called Milestone. Oh, it's my graduation. I end 4 years today. With pomp and circumstance, the teachers and speakers have their say. In a long pursuit of knowledge, I have read and dreamed, and now, which road lies ahead for me anyhow? Thanks for the flowers on my milestone. I wore my very best dress. After all the waiting, look, my smile's gone. How did it turn into a mess? Well, it turned into a millstone I'm doomed to wear around my neck. Well, it's a celebration of the love I found in life, where I take on a husband and become somebody's wife. The band plays songs that make us cry. We dance until the end. Can we keep our vows, and can we still be friends? Thanks for the flowers on my milestone. I wore a big white dress. And after all the waiting, look, my smile's gone. All I can feel is the stress. Well, it turned into a millstone I'm doomed to wear around my neck. As the days pass and life sets in, it's hard to carry your momentum when your pocket's worn thin. As the dreams fade, I think, poor me, can I live up to expectations people have for me? Oh. Well, it's our big reunion. Too many years have passed, and we smile and recount the memories, 'cause our friendships didn't last. Ain't it funny how life didn't turn out like we thought it would? Have we lived our lives as well as we could? Thanks for the flowers on my milestone. I wore my very best dress. Well, after all the build-up, look, my smile's gone. All I want to feel is success, but it turned into a millstone. My milestone turned into a millstone. How did it turn into a millstone? I'm doomed to wear around my neck. Oh. Thank you. Thanks for hanging in there. Just for the record, it's 11:30. It is a new open mic record. Wow. Shattering the old record to bits. Absolutely. Thank you for being part of the 10-year anniversary of this open mic and poetry slam. Thank you so much. That's right. So there's a lot of history here in this room and in this group. So let's all raise a glass of sparkling cider and say, what do we say? L'chaim. L'chaim. To another 10 years of open mic and poetry slam, where we can all celebrate the spirituality of music and spoken word.